If you clicked on this video, you know why you're here, and I know why you're here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it with an intro, and we're just going to hop straight into it. Pillar Chase 2 and Forsaken are two games that have been clashing head-to-head with each other for the communities, and they've been battling it out to see which game is better. And while I hope we can all just universally agree it depends on your opinion, we're going to be looking at the statistics of each game to see which game is better statistically. We're going to be looking at stats like how many players are active, how many favorites the game has, how many visits it has, and other in-game stuff like how many killers it has, how many things it can do. There's a lot to dissect here, and I'm going to try and break it all down as best as I can. So just strap in and get ready for this video. And if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I enjoy making content like this. And for you Forsaken folks, I do plan to make Forsaken content because when I was actually making this, I had a crap ton of fun on Forsaken. But going back to the video, we're going to be running this by a point system. To put it into example, we're going to be looking at visits. If Pillar Chase 2 has more visits than Forsaken, Pillar Chase 2 gets a point. Same vice versa. All the categories we're going to cover are displayed on screen right now. I'll give you a second to read those. And yes, there will be a possibility of there being a tie, which results in both games getting a point. And I just want to state this now, this is nothing official. This is just how I see it. This is just statistics, and I'm not going to let any bias get in the way of this video. But with all the explanations aside, let's get into the first topic. So for each of these sections, we're going to cover Pillar Chase, and then we're going to cover Forsaken, and then we're going to compare the two, and then we're going to see which game gets the point. And I know I said we're getting into the first topic, but total visits is going to be 1 point, concurrent players is going to be 1 point, and favorites are going to be 1 point, because those are all different categories within the section. It also saves me a bit of time if I put them all in the same section, so I'm just going to do that anyway. But starting with the Pillar Chase 2 stats, as of the time of recording, it has 8,870 active players, 475,754 favorites, and 138.8 million visits. I think it's kind of shocking to me that Pillar Chase 2 has managed to rack up 138.8 million visits when it's only been out for not even a year. Pillar Chase 2's first year anniversary is going to be in 20 days. Moving on to Forsaken, as of the time of recording, it has 37,167 active players, it has 183,081 favorites, and it has 40.9 million visits. I think it's pretty clear to see that Forsaken pretty much just gets manhandled in this category, except for on concurrent players because they managed to keep like over 30,000 while Pillar Chase only has 8,000, which I think really highlights which players actually stick to their community. Before these three categories, Pillar Chase 2 gets 2 points and Forsaken gets 1 point. I think we can all just flat out agree that neither game is beginner friendly. I mean, I started Forsaken and I kept getting my butt kicked, and I can say the exact same thing about Pillar Chase too. But we're going to be looking at what game offers the new players in order to help them get better at the game. Starting off with Pillar Chase offers upgrades for the survivors. All of these upgrades are dirt cheap, and honestly, some of them are pretty good. Yeah, but then there's also those... we don't talk about those. They also give us detailed yet simple descriptions of the killers so we can learn them easily. We're also provided items like flashlights, flashbangs, and medkits, and also trophies that expose the killer's location to help us survive. While some of these items are kind of rare to find, you can buy them in the item shop for kind of cheap. Unfortunately though, that's where the beginner aid ends. The only other thing you could really argue with beginner friendliness is the pace of the games. Pillar Chase is by no means a slow-paced game, but it's also not really a fast-paced game. As for Forsaken, they give you this beautifully laid out description of each character, which I honestly enjoy so much. I read it and I just understood the character immediately. It also shows you the difficulty of each character within 5 stars, so you know who you want to choose if you want to have an easy time or a hard time. There's also 2 items you can pick up around the map. It's a medkit and a cola. The colas are pretty easy to find, but I rarely find the medkits. And that's about all the aid you really get in this fast-paced chase game. I mean, heck, the 2 starter characters you get aren't even 1-star difficulty. Don't get me wrong, Forsaken can be really fun once you're able to pick it up, but once you start it, it's literal torture. So the point for this category goes to Pillar Chase. If we're being fully honest, I don't think you can name a single chase game that isn't repetitive. Pillar Chase and Forsaken are no exceptions to this rule. And if we're getting straight to the point, I'm just going to say it now, Forsaken gets the point for this category. And let me explain why. I think the reason there's so many active players on Forsaken is because it's such a breath of fresh air when it comes to playing something that's not Pillar Chase. Now don't get me wrong, Pillar Chase is an amazing game and it's super fun, but it's super repetitive. All the objectives on each map are the same and they never change up a bit. And the least repetitive aspect of playing is fighting a new killer every time you get into a new match. But even then, sometimes you're fighting like 3 PCXs in a row, and it's like, why am I even playing this game right now? Now, yes, Blade Ninja is adding lots of new characters like Valim coming out soon, and the 30 reworks that came to PCX for some reason. Despite all these changes, it feels like the same thing over and over again. Even grinding to level up a killer is so hard. I mean, heck, once you reach past gold, it takes like 4 matches to level them up once. And someone like me who doesn't have a lot of time to play finds it really hard to get past levels 50. And playing the same killer over and over again just to get him level 100 gets super boring after a while because you just find it really easy to play them. It's actually one of the prime reasons why my highest level is just barely over level 60, because I always like to play different killers so I can still have fun with the game. But again, this isn't to deprive the game of how much fun it can actually be. It's just saying that it's extremely repetitive if you continue to do the same thing over and over. As for Forsaken, the leveling seems very easy and the tasks are different every time. And what I mean by that is the generators spawn randomly across the map, and the puzzle you gotta do when you're doing the generator is also randomly generated. On top of that, you got a good chunk of survivors to choose from while you're playing, and each of them have their own unique abilities to help them survive the game. Being able to click on people's profiles and see who they're playing lets you strategize and make your own team to survive the killer efficiently. This adds the whole new concept of teamwork into the game, and it makes it so unique. The amount of combos that you can make with who you play makes this game effectively less repetitive than Pillar Chase because it adds a whole new level of strategizing to the game. Now for this section, I'm actually going to go off of quality of characters instead of quantity of characters. The reason for this is because if I went off of quantity of characters, then Pillar Chase would just have too easy of a win. Going into Pillar Chase, this is the roster of characters in Pillar Chase. Each and every one of them have an amazing model as well as amazing animations. The only issue, however, is how they play out in game, because a lot of them seem unbalanced to everybody in the community, and everybody complains about each killer because of how balanced they are. I mean, take all the PCX reworks, for example, and the yeah, okay, never mind. The point I'm trying to make is that the community sees a lot of the killers as imbalanced and unfair to play against. It can also be said the same vice versa. Some people find the characters really weak to play as. So some of those people that play those more underground characters like Uncle Samsonite or EXE find a hard time having to play with them. Forsaken takes a little bit of a different approach, and you can actually play as different survivors. This is the entire roster of characters in the game, including killers. Obviously not as much as Pillar Chase 2, but you gotta cut them some slack because this is a newer game. For the most part, I haven't seen anybody complain about most of the characters in this game because all of them seem pretty balanced. The only character I've seen people complain about is Jason. Yup, you heard me right, Jason. The starter character, this guy right here. This is a literal chat log that I had before I even got a killer that wasn't Jason. It's a little confusing to me how the starter character is the one that's complained about, but other than that, none of other characters usually get complaints, so they're all pretty balanced. The models and animations are also really great on these characters. The overall quality of the Forsaken characters are really nice, and with the balanced gameplay and the nice quality, I think Forsaken takes this one. Cosmetics are a fairly big thing in any game, so it's pretty obvious that these chase games would have cosmetics of their own. We're going to be taking into account any cosmetic that you're able to unlock inside of both of these games. So for Pillar Chase, that includes the death sound effects, the death visual effects, the wind poses, the skins, and all that. As of the time recording this, there are 176 killer skins in the game that aren't reskins. Granted, some of these skins aren't as good as other skins in this game. They're still there and they give you a lot of variety, but I specifically want to note the ancient skins that change the chase theme to absolute bangers. Just take a listen to some of these. And that's literally just scratching the surface of it. On top of that, they also give killers death quotes and victory poses, so you can flare up your killer in any way you want. And on the survivor side of things, you can get running animations, victory poses, death sound effects, and death visual effects. The victory poses, though, are victory poses, and while you're able to do them in game, they aren't very good of an emote. Though there are some that act more like emotes, like the laughing one. Overall, there are a lot of ways to flare up your survivor and killer experience. And lastly, for Pillar Chase in this section, can we get a drippy WYST skin? That would be so fire. I mean, just look at him. Oh my god, that's so cool. Going on to Forsaken, they have a bunch of killer skins, a bunch of survivor skins, as well as a lot of emotes. As of recording this right now, there are a total of 113 skins in the game, and each one is a hit. None of them are a reskin at all. And that 113 is also excluding the milestone skins you get for leveling up your characters. Going on to the emotes, there's a total of 26 in the game right now, and all of them are completely unique and amazing references. A lot of them also have great audio to go with them. But being able to emote in game also opens up a lot of opportunity to just be completely toxic. I'd say when it comes to the skins in Pillar Chase 2 and Forsaken, they're pretty even. But when it comes to emotes and survivor cosmetics, Pillar Chase just gets completely obliterated. Now, if I'm being honest here, this one's just going to be a draw. Because in the end, no matter what I say here, somebody's going to disagree. When it comes to music, it's all about opinion. We all have certain music tastes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Another reason I'm calling this section a draw is because both games have shown their capability to drop absolute banger of a chase theme. I'll show you 2 from each game, and then we can move on to the next section. This is going to be the last category for points, and it's going to be 2 points because there's maps and objectives. Maps in Pillar Chase 2 are all unique, and most of them connect to a killer in some way. Like how My World connects to PCX, Gobble Run connects to WIST, Black Sun connects to EXE, Fazbear's Fright connects to Springtrap, and so forth. And as for objectives, I know I said they get repetitive earlier in this video, but this isn't what that category is about. We're looking at how creative and unique the tasks are to do. Now, while there's some tasks like on the dungeon map where you have to clean paper and open chests, there's also those other tasks like on the Oni Mansion where you kind of just hold E to collect the key. Overall, the tasks are creative and stick to their map's origin. Unfortunately though, what the tasks lack in this game is uniqueness. Sure, some of them are different from others, but the main gist of those tasks are usually just click or hold a button. Now for Forsaken, there's only 5 maps in the game and all of them are kind of just old Roblox places, so I think it's pretty easy to say that Pillar Chase takes the maps category. But what about objectives? Because if you do the math, Pillar Chase and Forsaken are tied right now. And it'd be way too anticlimactic if I just called this category a draw. So that's not what I'm going to do. Let's take a look at the Forsaken's objectives and then we'll decide who's the winner. Now, Forsaken kind of just lacks creativeness when it comes to their objectives. It's just randomly spawn generators across each map. But when it comes to the uniqueness, I love the idea they went with this line game. I mean, it's literally flow free. The mobile game. The offline mobile game. I literally have this on my phone.
We do not care.
And the fact that it's randomly generated new patterns every time makes it so much better. It's like I'm playing the actual game. There's literal times where I said I enjoy doing the task more than playing the actual game itself. But with all of that aside, it's time to conclude our winner. Now, before you guys go and comment that I'm a big fat smelly moron, let me explain. Yes, I was just glazing the objectives for Forsaken, but I did say at the start of the video that there was going to be zero bias, or at least as little bias as possible. And while Pillar Chase tasks lack the uniqueness that Forsaken has, the creativeness is what really puts it up there. Yes, Forsaken's tasks are unique, but it's only flow free. There's no other task in the game. And if you compare it to Pillar Chase has a lot of different tasks in its game, and each task is accustomed to its own map. And while I did say most of the tasks are just hold a button or click earlier, you can make the same argument for Forsaken with it just being connecting the lines. Now, I don't doubt that there's at least one person that disagrees with what I'm saying here, and to be honest, that's fine. I don't really care. But I feel like I want the biggest takeaway from this video to be that it just depends on what you think. Because despite me doing all these statistics and saying that Pillar Chase is better, I enjoy Forsaken a little bit more right now. But let's close up this video because it's kind of dragging on. I don't doubt that there's at least somebody that watches this video and hasn't played Pillar Chase or hasn't played Forsaken, so here's some questions that I wanted answered when I started the game. How hard is it to master / level up in each game? Well, to put it frank, in Pillar Chase, it's brainless. It's so bad. It takes so long. Forsaken, it seems pretty easy for the early levels. I'm not too sure about the late levels though, because my max level is like 34, so you guys let me know how it is. How friendly are the communities? Well, yeah, neither of them are very nice. If you play the wrong killer in Pillar Chase, you're gonna get ripped on by like 20 people hating on who you play just because you play them. And the amount of times I've been emoted on in Forsaken for getting stunned is insane. Now, I haven't really seen anything outside of the game for Forsaken in the community, so I'm not too sure on that. But I've always gotten emoted on and teabagged in Forsaken, so yeah. But that concludes this journey completely. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and all the gameplay in the background was actually with fans inside of the Discord community server, so if you guys haven't joined that yet, feel free to join because I might do more events like this where you guys get to play and be on camera. And again, thank you to everyone who joined up and played with me. I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got this footage with you guys. If you haven't yet, make sure to like and subscribe because I plan to post more content like this and keep you guys entertained. With all that out of the way, have a good day.